Good evening. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for Thursday, August 21st, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. at the Shockley Administration Building. Mrs. Cameron, can you call roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes, present.
Mr. Kroll, Ms. Crumley,
Present.
Ms. Paez. Present. Mrs. Cameron, yes. And all of,
Pledge of allegiance.
we have a quorum.
Allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of friendship among the United States.
Any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron?
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes. Ms. Crumley,
Yes.
Ms. Paez. Yes. You have a quorum.
On to reports. Any Deming?
We are presenting further down under the CBA, so if we can expect till then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Ms. Burke.
On to superintendent reports and updates.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Think another wonderful month here. I've decided it's great to be a Wildcat. I want to remind everybody of that as we start off the reports and every meeting. We shifted for the board. We shifted some of the superintendent reports to the front of the meeting. It's sometimes we have assistance from other departments for that to make sure that they're available. Throughout the time that we're here, we want to always give you an update monthly on student enrollment. So, Charles, next slide, please. It's important to keep an eye on our enrollment trends. Really, two numbers we always want to look at: overall student enrollment and a number of kindergartners that we have. This is really important, again, to remind the board and for the public to know that the state grants our funding, and our grant funding is really based on our student enrollment, not necessarily attendance, but student enrollment. And we report to the PED on these 4 days, these days we see here, the 40th, 80th, 120th, and end of year. Back one more, Charles. Then, of course, the average, it's not really the enrollment, it's called membership, but the numbers on the 80th and 20th, when those are averaged together, that's what dictates our funding. So I'm going to ask Ms. Cole to join me up here just in case I get something wrong. She helped put together this slideshow, and she's going to keep this up to date for us. So we have the same numbers we're looking at very briefly in every meeting. Next slide, please. So what you can see here is the last 4 years, of enrollment and our current enrollment. You can see it's broken down on the bottom by the 40th, 80th, and 120th day. So right now we're kind of in the orange line, the 40th day enrollment. You can see that on the 40th day, which typically falls in October, the actual count day. Last year we were at 4,750 students district-wide in October. As of the time Ms. Kroll pulled this information, which I believe was on the 14th, on the August 14th, we were at 4,788. So typically, and Ms. Kroll, correct me if I'm wrong here, typically the trend here in Deming is we have a certain number of kids that start in August. We have kids that drop, that don't have complete enrollments, families that come in. So we'll have a number here. The number will steadily climb as we get towards the 40th day. And then usually after the 40th day, it kind of starts dropping back down when we get to the 80th and 120th. So it will kind of level out. So if you look again at those lines under 24, 25, you can see how the orange line at the 40th day of last year was at 4,750. And then by the time we got to the 120th day, which falls in February, we were down to 4,672. So I think the trend that we'll share at the end is that we're kind of at a flat enrollment. If you care to see at your leisure, we have the schools all linked there on the slideshow. Next slide, Mr. Turner. I do always want to put the kinders in front of you in these board meetings because our kinder enrollments are what over time is going to flow through our school system. And so if the kinder numbers come in low over time, right, our overall student population is going to, possibly have a little bit of decline. In the top right-hand corner, again, these are broken down by the 40th, 80th, and 120th counts. You can see there that we had a big jump after the pandemic, right? Came back from the pandemic with this giant jump, and then we have leveled. We have leveled back down. Last year on the 40th day in October, we had 443 kindergartners. Right now, or when Ms. Roll pulled this report, we had 354. Again, that's probably going to go up and then down just a little bit. I would venture to say at the end of this year, we might have 10, 11 more kindergartners than we had last year. Seems to be the trend. Would you agree, Sarah? Again, the last couple of years has only been like a 3% growth in kindergarten enrollment. So we need to keep an eye on that. As 4 years ago, we had 396 kindergartners, right? We had 345 last year. That makes a difference year after year in our enrollment. Last slide here on enrollment, and then we can, last couple slides, and Sarah and I can try to answer any questions. Again, Sarah prepared this analysis for you. Again, indicating on the in the 21-22, we saw these significant jumps after the pandemic. Then we hit that peak. Then there's been a decline since the 22-23 school year. She's giving you the decline information there. She said, you know, she predicts us to have less than 1% difference on the 40th in October. Next slide, Charles. The growth outlook, stabilization. Not really a strong growth trend. We wouldn't say it's kind of flattening after a decline. I think that was there one more, Charles. And here's a summary for that Ms. Kroll provided. But again, just a tiny bump for this year. Could be a slow recovery in enrollment. But it's too early to say, right? Birth rates, kindergartners coming in may dictate that. So are there any clarifying questions you have for me or Mrs. Kroll, or any additional information you'd like to see on your monthly student enrollment update?
I thought that was easily digestible. I appreciated it.
Excellent. Sometimes I have a tendency to complicate things, so thank you for that feedback, Member Crumley. Thank you, Ms. Kroll. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, next, we also have committed to try to share with you HR numbers each day. Hopefully this link should open. Charles, if you can click on the tab that says July, please. So this is the information we shared with you in July of our vacancies. Charles, if you scroll up a little to the bottom, Charles, so we can see the total. So as of July, we had hired 99 new employees into our system. We had 21 total vacancies on our campuses. 35 open positions on our campuses. Charles, if you click on August tab, please. Scroll down to the bottom. To date, we have had 146 new employees to date, and we're down to 23 open positions. So we brought people in, and our positions are down. You can see by school there on the right-hand side, the schools that have vacancies. So again, we'll bring this to you monthly to track. I know that Ms. Nips and her team helped compile this. Any clarifying questions on this information here?
Is there a way to track when we have, when it comes to teaching positions, whether it's like a long-term sub who's in charge of that classroom versus a teacher?
We can try to get in there to see how many long-term subs that we have in place. We can start adding that to our report to track that, maybe by campus. Would that be good to know? Hey, long-term subs.
Yes.
This is what we have by campus. I think that's a reasonable and informative request. Ms. Nips?
I mean, there are 21 openings, those are all long-term subs.
Oh,
Okay. So what you're saying, Terry, is that none of these people on that are listed as hired were hired on a long-term sub position. We're only having long-term subs in our vacancies. Okay, well that's
thank you.
that's a great answer. You got that right there, Ms. Crumley. Okay. Any other clarifying questions? All right, thank you. Next slide, Mr. Turner. Little transportation update. As you know, we started off in July with a conversation about transportation and contracts for our first few meetings, and I think it became very clear. The board here, right? We want for our busing services the safe, most efficient, cost-effective transportation that we can have for our students that are in zone, and we want to optimize those routes to ensure the best use of taxpayer dollars. So they're starting in June, right? There had been announced there was going to be some to and from. And when I say to and from, that means to school and from school. Some changes to our to and from transportation shifts that were announced in June to meet these expectations. I think one thing that I want to clarify for the board and the public as well is that routing students is more of a challenge than it seems. It's kind of a complex task rather than to and from kids. So as you all know from our previous conversations, our TERF, our transportation exception request process started in June 2025, which was a shift from our old 501T process, right? The 501T process and the TERF process are both designed to provide transportation accommodations for students who are traveling out of their attendance zone to go to a different school. As I mentioned before to the school board, we have this TERF process and this 501T policy that allows these exceptions. That's currently in conflict with the policy that we have in place that we may need to look at. But so this new process of other events at the start of the year, caused our changes to our out of zone students who requested a TERF. Just a summary of the TERFs that were given. The staff had TERF requests were a total of 59 students. We announced our new plan to have Smith School as the pickup location for staff member students on TERFs. Once that was announced, it was reduced to 34 students. On the first day that we did the Smith School plan for staff students, 13 students were there. So we accommodated for 13 students, and their parents came and picked them up. It was a pretty good process. Then after we did that, we were taking care of our community TERF requests. So the non-IEP and McKinney-Vento TERF requests, IEP students with disabilities do get accommodated transportation in many cases, even if it's out of attendance zone. And the McKinney-Vento is for our unhoused students suffering from unhoused situations. They can also access transportation as well. There were 48 community TERF requests this year. They were all approved and we're able to accommodate all of them. 32 were direct busing and 16 required transfers. Anytime you're doing bus transfers, there's some complexity in doing the bus transfers, but transportation team was able to accommodate all of those. And then as we've been talking about, our goal prior to next year is to review the policy related to student transportation, especially that to out of zone students. So we were in a shifting process. I think the important thing to know is that our accommodation of in-district in-zone students is what the state funds and is the number one priority. We look at that, make sure that's done safe, efficiently, and cost effectively. And then we can work on these other things elsewhere. Typically, when you're trying to route your in-district students first and make those routes efficient, it's always going to cause delays for special routes or accommodated routes. So wherever we go with this policy next year, my experience tells me that when it comes to any exceptions that are going to be granted, possibly via policy, there's always going to be a delay in getting those kids routed onto the bus because they're the exceptions. So any clarifying questions from the board about a student transportation update?
The only thing I was kind of curious about
Yes, ma'am.
was the 501 process that you talked about last year.
Right.
So what we had 59 requests this year and it was reduced to 34. Do you have an idea what it was last year? How many requests?
You know what?
How many
That's
501s there were?
that's an excellent question, Ms. Paz. I wasn't prepared to answer. I don't know if Miss Patty happens to know the old 501Ts, how many when your first year that you came in?
What's kind of the average, maybe?
Yeah, if you want to come up here, Patty, so we can hear you. Sorry.
So unfortunately, I don't have that number right at the top of my head. The 59 that you're referring to right now are just the staff. I know a total of 195 included not only staff and in community last year. But I didn't come prepared with the number for last year for just staff. So
Are you saying last year the total was 195 for both?
community and staff.
Okay, so this year we had 54 plus 48, which is about 107
Yes.
this year total.
Paid about the same number
Yeah.
from last year. But I didn't have that exact number prepared for you today.
Yeah, so I'm hearing a little bit of 107 this year total between staff and community, and then maybe last year upwards of close to 195 or 200. Okay, all right, thank you. We'll try to get that number back verified for you, Ms. Paez.
Just wondering,
Okay.
I was just a little,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? Okay, that's all I have for those reports, Mr. Wisco.
Okay, on to public comment. Any individual wishing to speak on the agenda, to speak on an agenda item must sign on prior to meeting. Once meeting has started, requests for comments will be done at the discretion of the board. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes unless a member of the board requests to extend the time for individual addressing the board. We do have one person that signed up, Mr. Russell Johnson.
Mr. President, members of the board and superintendent, I appreciate the update on student transportation. I'm here today to express my frustration and concern over the recent handling of transportation, particularly for students who had 501Ts canceled and those considered ineligible riders due to not attending their boundary school. First off, it's unacceptable that the transportation department knew back in June that 501Ts were being canceled and replaced with these turf applications. Yet families were not permitted to see, much less submit the new paperwork until the first day of school. This left at a minimum of 103 is what we were told at the time, students without a way to get to school on time or at all, creating chaos during the most critical time of the academic year. The failure to notify families ahead of time or provide a reasonable process shows a lack of planning and consideration for the needs of our students. Yesterday, we did receive notification that our application was finally approved to allow our child to ride the bus starting Monday. Given that it took a month to go over the applications, further proves that this process should have been started over the summer rather than when school started. Additionally, I've raised a serious question that continues to go unanswered. How does Columbus, Chihuahua, Mexico fall within the boundaries of the Deming Public School District? Currently, 7 buses transport students from the port of entry to Columbus Elementary, and 15 more buses haul students to secondary schools in Deming. That's 22 buses daily for students residing in another country. And I learned today that it's upward of 800 students that load up at the POE. Meanwhile, my own child who lives within the district is denied transportation because he does not attend his boundary school. This is a clear double standard that many families are questioning. How can a student who resides outside the United States receive full transportation services while local students are told they're ineligible? I urge the board, and it looks like you're going to in future meetings, to re-examine this policy and provide a transparent explanation to the public. Families deserve answers and fair treatment, especially when it comes to the safety and accessibility of our child's education. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On to consent agenda. Any questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as, do I need to read each one?
No,
As,
it's the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron.
What?
Take roll, please.
oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll is not here. Ms. Crumley,
Yes.
Ms. Paez,
Yes.
Ms. Cameron, yes.
Okay.
The motion passes. I apologize.
No problem. We'd like to recognize Representative Jennifer Jones is in the audience this evening, so we'd like to thank you for coming to our meeting. Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am. On to discussion items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. We have several discussion items today. One, our first discussion item has to do with safety. Again, you know, we had some situations we were dealing with, particularly at Deming High School, the first week of school, and I really do want to once again thank all of our teachers and staff and principals for their proper and prompt action. Our security staff here in Deming Public Schools, in addition to all of our local law enforcement agencies. Really, though it was a unnerving situation, really a demonstration of the kind of response and support that this community is going to get if there, were ever a true need. So we're going to talk about safety. I've listed kind of 4 topics here to mention to you and get your feedback on. I've listed them here: rape panic button, weapons detection systems, use of canines, and random searches. There'll be some policy elements to this later as well. Next slide, please, Charles. So the first item I want to talk about is the rave panic button. It's a app that's downloaded on the phone that really can allow for quick notification of an in-school or on-school district facility incident that is actually connected when in full implementation is connected to local law enforcement dispatch that every person can have on their phone. It's currently provided free to New Mexico schools. There's some great implementation support that's available from the state to connect both law enforcement and school districts. That's available. So next slide, I'm going to show you some snapshots from this. So this is actually in the district I came from. This was something that was in place. So these are actually screenshots from my phone from the actual app. So on the left-hand side, one screen that every person that downloads the app will have access to is this is the panic button. Okay, if you're in a school, on a school facility, you press one of these, automatically contact dispatch right away. And then, of course, it's programmed to give, that information. So that is the panic button featured. When there is something that's a non-emergency, the staff can use this second screen that's called Staff Assist, where anybody, and how this works is each school gets sort of geo-fenced with GPS mapping. And so you actually know when you're they'll know where your phone is at on the facility. And then if I'm a staff member and I have a non-emergency, but I'm out there and I see a suspicious vehicle or there's a disturbance or some kids having a medical issue, I can actually, you can see my location there. I can actually select what I'm seeing, the minor medical issue. I can indicate where it's at in the building, and that staff assist will go out to principals, administrators, other people that have access to, you know what, there's a medical issue, there's a disturbance, there's a missing student over in this area, and we can respond that way. And then during an emergency, there's also a way for this last one on the right is called a staff assist. So let's say there is a lockdown for some reason, kids can't leave the room, and the principal needs to check in on all the teachers or pass information. They can actually use the staff assist button to have everybody check in to make sure that they're okay. And so these are some of the features that are part of the Rave panic button. I do know that Mr. Hasso and Mr. Para are already in the process of implementing this. We had a conversation the other day about what the time might be to get this rolled out. Mr. Para is currently in the process of getting connected with law enforcement, getting the consultant down from the PED, and we have a target of implementing, and we should be able to go live no later than the start of next school year, because the state will come down and train each campus on how to use this, and so this is something that's free. It's been available, and we'll get that rolled out to communicate during emergency situations. Any clarifying questions about the Rave panic button? So if you hear about that, that's the Rave panic button. Next slide, please, Charles. The other option we have, and I'm going to have Mr. Para and Mr. Hasso join at the podium on this. So we also, and I know prior to me coming on in this role, there had been discussion about metal detectors and other weapons detection systems in our schools. My understanding is currently, at some point in the past couple of years, there was a system bought, 2 gates, which I think serve as more of your traditional magnetometers, kind of bulky, kind of hard to move. And so we have those. Another system that went last year, is that right, Benny and Andy? For some principals, was the Evolve weapons detection system. It's not that portable. It's slightly more portable than a magnetometer. Again, you can more rapidly scan people as they come in, and uses AI technology to sort of detect, hey, is this metal thing going through a weapon or not, that we're not stopping every kid, right? It has a system set up. One thing about Evolve is it's equipment that you lease. It's expensive. It's at minimum, we were looking up about $3,000 to $7,000 per unit per month, and you have to sign a 4-year lease.
Wow.
So some of these things were like $40,000 a year minimum, a lease per campus, right? So I'm gonna have Benny talk a little bit more about OpenGate here in a second. Right before coming on, Benny and Andy were both at a SRO conference in Grapevine, Texas, and they found a similar. They had a presentation from a similar AI system called OpenGate that has many of the features of Evolve, a little more customization, and its portability. So I'll let Andy and Benny talk a little bit about OpenGate, and we'll try to answer your questions about weapons detection systems and get some feedback.
President, members of the board. So we attended the SRO conference in Grapevine this past summer. And we were able to watch OpenGate actually be used and demoed there at the conference. One of the things that the high school has told us over and over that they want to use it in several locations. For example, if we decide to put it up at a sporting event, we want to be able to set it up there. If we want to move it to the football field or any of the fields that we operate currently. So Evolve, after seeing it demoed here, is very bulky. Once you set it up, you're gonna have a hard time moving it. And it was a big system. It's a nice system, but also the cost associated with. When we looked at OpenGate, each pedestal is 25 pounds. Andy picked one of them up and took off with it while we were standing there. And just to see, how portable is it? Of course, you set it up with the parameters they have, and it operated great. The nice thing about that we enjoyed was the guy that was programming it did it right off his phone. So he set it depending on what it was he wanted to detect, and then people started walking through it. And so it was really user friendly. And then one more added bonus, there is no cost. Once you buy the equipment, it's yours. And the one thing I asked him, because with Evolve, every year we have to download updates. With this one, every time there's any changes or updates that the company has come up with, they're downloaded into the system. When you log on, it automatically downloads it to you. And it operates off of everybody's phone. Anybody that's gonna operate it can do it right off their phone. So very portable, very lightweight to move. I asked him on the charge, he said 10 hours. If you were just using it constantly, you'd get about a 10-hour use on the charge, on the batteries that it has included. So, I mean, everything was really great about this thing. We enjoyed it. One other aspect of it was the wands. So the wands that they demoed for us, we currently have Garrett's, along with the metal detectors we have at the high school, which are Garrett's. These emit a tone depending on the thickness of the metal that you're sensing. And that was one of the things that DIS, Red Mountain High School, because of the vape situation that we're having there, they like that because you're gonna be able to tell as you scan these students what it is that they're conceding. And it gives you a different tone for each one. So, just across the board, this was a great system, and we got the individual's contact information, but we haven't contacted him yet because I didn't want to move forward with putting him through a demo if we're not even gonna bother to purchase it. But I think looking at both of those, I think OpenGate is for our money and for what we want to use it for. I think OpenGate would be the better system to have.
Is OpenGate the thing that you walk through?
That's the name of that's what they call it.
Okay.
It's called OpenGate. The company is CEIA, and I don't know what it's.
I Googled it. So it's but it is the thing that you walk through, but they also have
It's two
ones?
pedestals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they're probably 4 to 5 inches in diameter,
yeah.
and that's what there they are right
There you
now.
go. Good job. You were describing it perfectly, Benny. Perfectly.
Yeah, so you just walk through them and they have a handle, you grab them and they're very portable. So you set them up. I mean, it was great to watch it. We got to see it demoed and then went to go visit with the vendor afterwards, so.
Wow.
And for the cost that we would be paying for Evolve, we could actually purchase probably 3 to 4 sets of these. So we would be able to have in different locations, like at graduation.
Mhm.
At graduation, we have several gates that are open, so we set
Set them up and go.
Yeah.
Wow,
You flip back to the presentation, Charles.
that's impressive.
I'm gonna say a couple of the quick things, then I'm gonna loop back because I need to on all three of these things. And again, and stay here, Benny, and you don't go anywhere. The use of canines. We had there's weapons. I guess a new weapons detection canine as part of a Deming police department. We had to offer support from there, and then of course there is I put here random searches with handheld wands. Now, what I'm going to share here is, and it'll come here shortly in the meeting. There are policy implications to all of these prior to doing any of this. Okay, so understand that we have to take some policy actions before if we were to consider doing any of this. Now, the feedback that I need from the board to guide us as a team here, from a finance perspective, safety, schools, administration, we need your feedback on these systems here. What do you feel about using some of these as a deterrence, mitigation, safety situation?
I'll stay quiet because
I thought you
My-
were gonna be the first one.
no. My stance, I think, is obvious, applied by this point, but, and just given my background, but I'll let you guys kind of.
I believe it's something that everybody uses everywhere. So I mean, the way that the world is right now, safety is very important, so.
Thank you.
I agree that whether this is the one we want, but I agree that we have to make sure that we have everyone in our whole system aware and can know what to do or how to use it, and I've worked with Benny, I think we did 10 years or something. And it's anything we can do to keep our kids safe. And it's not only our children, it's our staff, and it's also parents or others that might be on on our different places within our system. So whichever is the best, I think that's what we want to do, because just one person, and we would regret that we did not pay that extra step if it was indeed worth it. And I know we have several people right up here that can know more about it than I do.
I mean, I think that the open gate is a great idea. They used to use canines a long time ago. So back in the day, I don't have any opposition to that. I don't know that random searches is a great idea. But I'm open to talking about it.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, anything that we can do to try to mitigate the possible threat of anything that could happen, I'm for. I think that in a combination of stuff that's listed, I think would be, a great idea. At some point in time, it's unfortunate we have to focus so much on safety and not being able to focus on just teaching kids. And at some point in time, something's got to give in the respect that if you're going to come to school, then you're subject to search, no questions asked. And if you don't, then you can't be here. Because it's got to be a situation that the safety of the kids has to override every single thing. And if you're not going to abide by those, then go somewhere where you may have to abide by it. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And I think that these systems help deter. Are we going to catch every single thing? Maybe not. And I go back to the time that I did and the school shooting I was involved in and stuff like that. And man, it definitely changes, things. And you stop to think that, man, these kids just came just to come to school today, with no other expectations and something like this happens. So it's unfortunate that these things happen, and it's unfortunate they're becoming more commonplace.
Mhm.
And so I think we as a board have the ability to kind of push back and try to make our districts the safest possible.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Next slide, Mr. Then we're going to talk about conflict of interest in a second, and I'm going to loop back to these policies related to this. The last thing I'll share on safety before Charles talks a little bit about conflict of interest is, my understanding from what I've observed prior to coming to this job, the conversation about these the weapons detection systems, procedures, right now lies oftentimes around our secondary schools, correct, our intermediate and above. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something in my research.
I mean, I think that's been the information we've gotten from them is that a majority of the incidents, that's where it's happening.
Okay.
I think there's been some at the elementary level, but
It usually involves, airsoft,
mhm,
our kids. And we see it more after the fairs because they go to the.
they get them, yeah.
Yeah, they can buy them really cheap and they
Yeah.
come to school and they want to play.
But the real things
Uh,
are at secondary, right?
it's at the secondary level. Every issue that we've had has been at the secondary level.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hasso and Mr. Parra. We're going to move on to conflict of interest, and I'm going to loop back to some policy stuff regarding this momentarily. Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you,
feedback.
gentlemen.
Mr. Turner's going to share a little bit about conflict of interest disclosures that we sometimes do here as a board.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Wildermuth. We just want to have a discussion around the parameters of conflict of interest disclosures. The last couple of months, we've had a couple come before you guys. And some of them are large vendors like our t-shirt print shop business, but we've also have seen recently some smaller ones that we may not have a whole lot of business with, maybe in the $500 range. So we just want some feedback on if there's a dollar limit you would like before disclosure, if you want to see all of the conflicts, just, something that can help streamline us and give us a box that we can operate in. The district does have the ability to put these in a way that through our vector trainings that our employees can review the policies and disclose whether or not they have a conflict early on into the year. So we're open to any feedback or suggestions or questions.
When you talk about conflict, is that like based on relationship?
Yes, based on
Okay.
relationship and or financial interest.
Okay. Do we already have a policy about that?
We do.
Yes, there is a policy. Ms. Crummy, I'm not sure about the parameters on when it should be, how it should be disclosed. I think what I've learned and talking to Mr. Turner and just being here a little bit of time, there's potentially a lot of conflicts that may be happening on purpose or accident. We have two thoughts. One, where annually everybody is disclosing whether or not they have a conflict, right? And then we kind of can gather a list of, hey, these 15 people, well, not 15, these 50 people said they have potential conflicts. Here's the reason, here's the potential dollar amount, right? And then it's just that, then we just have that as a record and we can share it with you and then make it a procedure here to say that if you do a conflict comes throughout the year, you fill out this form, you report to HR, and we kind of have a master list to operate from. And then we decide, and we can look at policy, then we decide, do we need to bring that all to you just as information, right? Approve them as like a chunk, or just say, hey, we're going to just bring the ones that are $1,000 and above for you all to approve if necessary, and then we just have the ones lower than that as record for us as administration. That's kind of what we're curious about.
My personal opinion would be to just defer to the district on that. I don't have a hard opinion on it either way.
Anybody else?
It's a small community, so that.
Yeah, it happens.
That's what I was gonna.
There's not very many places to go for things.
Right. Okay, so what I hear the board saying, and we'll work with HR and see if we can, we're already in the middle of vectoring with the staff, work with Ms. Nips, and we could add a special extra dimming vector. If that's not feasible this year, then we'll continue to bring you the ones that we know of and bring them to you. But we'll try to put a process in place that allows us to gather a master list and really figure out it, procedurally or policy wise, what you all need to know or not. That seems
Sounds good.
what the
I
consensus.
think our community would really appreciate that, our community that have, services and providing services, and then we go out.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think the more we can give back to our community, the better we are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Just turn to the next topic, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. On policy, discussion items, next one is policy JIH, student interrogation, searches and arrests.
So this relates back to item A regarding safety. As I mentioned, if we are going to do anything with searches, we're going to have to modify our policies. So our current policy JIH is a very, very standard policy. And again, it's designed to protect the district and of course, protect the students' Fourth Amendment rights. Charles, if you can click on DPS policy JIH. It is really just reminding us down here, I put it in yellow for you all, when a search is permissible. And I think it's important to know that a search is permissible. We don't, schools don't have to have probable cause, the high standard that law enforcement has to have. We just really have to have what's called reasonable suspicion. Typically it needs to be individualized, right? We need to have a report from somebody identifying that this is what I saw occurring, or there's possible dangerous situation. As long as it's reasonable, and typically if it's individualized, we can conduct a search. And so that's a very, very standard policy that's in place now for anything. So changes that we would consider would be added to policy JIH. And so I got a couple of examples. They're actually simple additions that we can make. I didn't reinvent the wheel. Went out and did some research. So Charles, we go back to the main slideshow, please. Very recent, there's not too many school districts in New Mexico that use weapon detection systems. I know Cruces does for sure. I know it was a conversation in Albuquerque a couple of years ago, but I'm not sure that they do. I didn't find much that they had published. But if you click here, Charles, one says LCPS policy addendum. This was their addendum to policy JIH that covered their weapons detection systems. That's it. It's just stuck right in there with JIH. And then the key thing I've highlighted here is that it has to be universal and uniform. Okay, the way you get into situations with student searches, especially when you're doing searches of large groups, remember I said it has to be individuals, but you're supposed to search individual students for individual situations. When you get beyond that, you really need to make it universal. And so, and that's to prevent, discrimination, targeting, all kinds of different things. So if we put this in place, we're going to have to make sure that we universally screen all of the students. Okay. Now, let's go right. So random searches, right? Because I think President Orozco hit with any of these things that we may consider, it's about mitigating, right? It's about mitigating the situation, making everybody think twice about the decisions they're making, something dangerous to school. Universal screenings can mitigate. I've had some conversations in my previous role about random searches. They definitely open you up to more legal challenges because random's random till somebody says it's not random, and then you are in a whole box of issues. So I was unable to find a New Mexico school district using random searches. In my previous role, I had wanted to do some random searches, called some legal counsel, and they said, well, I don't recommend you use random searches. Now, you go do a search around the country. In other states, they do use random searches. And so what I provided here for you is just very simply what they do in Clark County, Nevada. That's Las Vegas, Nevada area. Charles, we're going to click on that real quick. And they have two sections here. This kind of bottom of this first page that says random arrival searches. So you have to imagine that they're setting up the two gates and they're not screening every kid. but they've decided ahead of time, we're gonna screen every third or fifth kid, right? There's a whole process of saying, today it's every seventh kid, and then every seventh kid goes through and everybody else goes in normal, right? That's a random search. There's a whole, giant bit of procedures there that I'm not gonna go over, but that's a random arrival search using the gates. Scroll down a little bit, Charles, please. Then they're talking here about a random classroom search. Again, where you go and you go into a classroom and then you can randomly search search a random classroom.
Now, are
Okay.
we talking about these all ages, all?
Well, again, Ms. Cameron, I think one thing, remember, we're talking about this, we're really, in our mind, we're thinking about for secondary, for the older students. Okay. So again, there are school districts around the country who do random searches. Can't find one in New Mexico, can't find any legal advice so far that would recommend that. So I just wanted to put the information out on the random searches. Charles, back to the slideshow, please. And then finally, use of canines. There is already a regulation that allows, Charles, if you click on that, that allows for use of canines for, okay, something went wrong. That's okay. I can tell you a little bit about it. Something went wrong. Nick's talking too much. That is its use of canines for drug searches. Okay, all these procedures in there again to protect the student and their rights. If we were going to have a use of canine policy, it would have to have an MOU with the police department, and it would be similar in fashion to what the regulation is for drug dog searches. Okay. Again, all of these, if the board chose to take action and modify them, we would obviously have some pretty thorough legal review ahead of time. Obviously, oh, there we go. Charles is very handy. Again, it's got the whole procedure here. This is, again, a regulation, not necessarily a policy. So this is something that regulation-wise, I could work with legal and Charles to get this into a weapons search regulation wise, and might be able to launch something like that relatively quick if we were trying to wait, if there was going to be a change in our search policy relative to like a universal screening. So again, these things are going to take time to put in place, but using the weapon detections dog under this regulation may be the first thing we could do to start some mitigation if appropriate. So back to the slides with Charles. So anyway, those are those that I wanted to share with you and let you know that we can go forward on all none of these. The sense I get from the board is we need to go forward on the universal screening. We need to get some quotes and demos from Open Gate or any other companies that come. That's the consensus I'm hearing. I'm also hearing a little bit of, hey, let's see what we can do about this regulation, weapons, the drug dog regulations, maybe kind of quickly. We'll have to ask legal if we need to. It should fall under the regular policy we already have in place. But if we can do it in a regulation, we may be able to move that along kind of fast. And then I know Member Crumley had kind of said, okay, random searches. I don't know about that. I just need the last feedback on how you all feel about random searches. If you think it's important for me to investigate that further, or just stick with the other two.
I'll stick with the other two for now.
Okay.
I think moving on the other two ASAP would be great.
Okay.
So that if we had to do 2 reads of a policy revision,
Yeah.
then we may need to do that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, there's a whole policy thing here in a minute, Ms. Crumley,
Okay.
in general, that, I think we have a space we can do this fast. Okay, that's how administratively we'll move forward to get information that is needed. Good. Yes, ma'am.
And maybe this is not appropriate now, but when it talks about the random searches, do our police and others have the ability to just come in and do random searches?
No, ma'am. School searches done by school officials, anything that would be done by an SRO in the schools with search would have to follow that very high standard of probable cause and is done on extremely rare occasions. So this would really only be involving school officials. Okay. All right. Next. I'm sorry.
No problem. On to policy KF, community use of school facilities and exhibits KF through EB.
Okay, very quickly here, we need your feedback on, we do get a lot of requests here for use of our school facilities for a variety of different things, for practices and events, and so for consistency purposes, I want to make sure I get your feedback on some few things that we're thinking. So Charles, if you press on policy KF there, again, this is a very standard policy throughout the state. I've highlighted some important things here. Right? It says we can lease stuff for lawful purposes, and in the interest of the community, it kind of describes it. It says there in our policy that a reasonable fee shall be charged for the use of the property, but services rendered from the other organization can count kind of in exchange for that cost. Okay, and go down to the last highlight I have, Charles, on the bottom. And of course, it says the superintendent can allow uncompensated use if that promotes the educational function of the district and it defines what educational function is. So again, we as per policy, we can rent. As per policy, we can charge a fee. As per policy, the superintendent can allow uncompensated use for educational function. So this is a standard policy. With this, I'm not recommending any changes in the policy. It's just information about the accompanying regulation or exhibit I want to share with you that may define a starting point for some charges. So this is our current regulation related to renting things, and our current regulation says, stay on the top there, Charles. Our current regulation says, hey, you charge different fees for different categories of groups. Okay, right? These are the ones that kind of came as part of the policy service. And then it says, call a district office, will tell you how much we're gonna charge. Okay. And then and again, scroll down a little bit, Charles. And it says, of course, if your group will do something, right, the value of goods can be used as a swap. Put that again, Charles. Now, here's what I kind of want to have a conversation about is and this is done regulation wise, okay, by us administratively. We just want your feedback on grouping organizations into different categories that will be basically from no fee to full fee. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'm not again in the business of reinventing the wheel here. So I'm bringing you an example of here from New Mexico. So here, this particular district has done school groups, group 1, okay? All the different things that occur. Again, these are school groups, athletic groups that are operated by the school, the PTO, or things established by the district. Okay. Go down to where there's a little price chart on the bottom, Charles. Keep going. You'll notice for group 1, there's really no charge for the use of the facilities. Okay. On the bottom, there might be a charge for S&P or stuff like that, possibly, but for group 1, there's no charge. Go back up, Charles, to the group 2. Group 2 is organized into other public institutions, educational institutions in New Mexico, Texas, Western, UTEP. This is really saying that, again, if you're another educational institution, again, you fall in their group 2 also falls in the no charge for the use of facilities category, but maybe for student nutrition personnel, security, custodial, those kind of things. Okay, so educational groups, whether they be our own or other ones, no charge. Okay, that just as a thought. Youth groups, group 3, these are ones that we oftentimes deal with here in Deming. Again, I highlighted here for you school-aged individuals. So this is saying, hey, if you're a group that serves school-aged, church youth groups, Boy Scouts, maybe a little Pee Wee football leagues, they fall into a different category. Again, some parameters on us determining if we need security, all those kind of things. Scroll down, Charles, you'll see that group 3 here is in a different category of charging. You go one more down, Charles. You'll see group 3, right? There's a little bit of a facility use fee here. Now, I haven't had a chance to sit down with Joe or Alvaro too much to talk about these fees, but these are some sample fee ranges that are good starting points to look at if we choose to charge a fee for these groups. Okay, and then lastly, group 4, you'll really see is kind of everybody else, right? That's not a school age child. Other groups in the community, they, again, if Charles goes back to the bottom, they have the kind of, I would say the full fee. Okay, then scroll down a little bit, Charles, and it reminds that again, if you're gonna need custodial services, student nutrition, security, there'll be charges for that. So I guess what I need your feedback on, again, this is a exhibit or regulations, probably a regulation. Yes, this is a regulation. This is something that we can go, it's an exhibit. We can go forward with this administratively, but I just wanted some quick feedback on, do we have the groups right? You know, groups 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously no charges for our kids that are part of our district authorized programs. No charge for use of facilities for other educational institutions. Okay, this seems reasonable. Discounted charge for school aged groups that aren't part of the school, and then full charge for everyone else. Do those categories seem reasonable? As again, I've got some feedback here. I'm new to town, and I want to make sure we at least have those in the right buckets.
I think so.
Okay.
I think in a community like ourselves that don't have a lot of places to go,
Okay.
that for community, it just brings us together and working with the schools and feeling like when we're going out asking for them, for example, we're going to build a new gym and we're asking for their support and money, you know, that we're already giving it
Sure.
in the public. And unless it's something that's just so extravagant that it's going to maybe cost a lot to, sometimes we also, groups have not charging for the use of it, but for cleanup afterwards too. And sometimes that has been added on.
So I think what we'll do, it sounds like my biggest feedback I wanted tonight was, do we have the groups of students right? From here, this will not require any action. From here, I will sit down a little more with facilities, a little more with finance to make sure we have our, you know, for the non-student groups, our rental numbers, and then I'll just bring that back to you at some point, right? Just as an information, so you'll be aware.
Could we also?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we also get information about like the process that's in place for community groups to be able to actually enjoy the benefit of this? Because I don't think that that's information that's really been disseminated out there. I think that's why you see groups at parks.
So Ms. Crumley, what you're sharing, Ms. Crumley, is, hey, just as a general, did you know that school board policy allows use of school facilities for
Right.
outside groups?
Right.
As like a simple PSA situation.
Right.
And then if you want to use that, here's we have to, again, administratively, we have to work on the
Right.
proper application process and make sure we're in agreement about the right kinds of fees. And then that way it's correct information, correct information to everybody out there.
Yes.
We can do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Rose, going through with that stuff.
On to item E, first review of revisions of two board policies, CB superintendent. That'd be me. So this is for the board, this is trying to line out, there's some requirements through PED to kind of line out some of our dates when it comes to evals for the superintendent. And so there's a mid review, and then there's the end of the year. And then so this is just pretty basic stuff. This was sent from our lawyers to us. So they've kind of gone through it and been able to address any things that we've had. Myself and Ashley did have a meeting with them in reference to this, just to kind of get the ball rolling on it. And so this is what they sent us in response to that meeting. So any questions on that?
I do want to add something just that I did learn today for clarification of some of the board members on this. Some of these suggestions being made are in reaction to a law passed by the legislature saying that action on a superintendent's contract can't be taken after the date of the election and before the new board is sworn in. So that was a change that was made by state law. Our policies did match that, in addition to the evaluation timeline. So the bulk of this is adjusting in policy the evaluation timeline, right? To make sure we're meeting this the state law about kind of the moratorium on superintendent contract action from election day to the swearing in of the new. So just for broad clarification there, and for the public as well.
Yeah, so just like it says there, it adds a working relationship with the board as a part of the evaluation for the superintendent, and then it strikes the other stuff there, so. And then the next item, item F, is the first review and revisions to board
That one.
policy. CBI one?
Yeah, it's.
Okay, that one, yeah. CBI one, evaluation of the superintendent. So kind of the same thing, just changing some stuff to get ourselves aligned as a board and as a district to be in compliance with that. So a lot of red. Sure there's some teachers out there that are probably loving that much red on a
Should
piece
have
of
made it
paper.
purple.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and just a couple clarifications here again. Like a lot of red here. Underline what's added. Red is what is stricken out. And I will say I appreciate the board bringing this. I have reviewed this, right? Obviously, I think it's very as a new superintendent, very reasonable process expectations from you all. In addition to a timeline to me that that looks compliant to my understanding of what needs to be done.
I think we do need to have a discussion to fill in the number of days in yellow as far as when the board wants a copy of the evaluation instrument. As far as how many days do we want that? My suggestion is 5 days. I don't,
yeah, that'd be fair. Or even 7, you can go a week.
because so the instrument's just going to be a blank instrument.
Yeah. So yeah, I can do 5 days.
Are you guys okay with 5 or do you want more or less?
So 7 is good.
I
7?
think the 7.
7?
Member Crumley, just and it's the board's decision. Would you like to clarify that as 5 working, 7 working, or 7 calendar?
I think in
Sometimes
my
that,
mind, I thought 5 business days.
and sometimes that
Because that's how I
sometimes
operate.
that comes up,
Yeah.
but you know,
So 7 is fine too.
Again,
7 calendar days.
it's up to you all. I'm just saying. Do you want
I'll do 7 calendar days. Yeah, works.
Thank you for knowing where my brain was.
That's okay. I just whatever you'd like.
All right.
Okay. So this is to your thing, this is probably kind of about, hey, we need to do some reads of some policies, safety policies. So just want to give you all a little glimpse here. Again, July of 2024, you all adopted policies from the NMSBA Policy Service, mostly all of them. We know there's been some challenges in making sure some of the updates were done. So I've asked Mr. Turner to aggressively work with the Policy Service to make sure that what you've already done since July 2024 in action here gets online. Okay. Now, since the policies were adopted, there have been 25 School Board Association policy advisories that have come out that need to be addressed. Now, these are policy advisories that are typically done to bring things in compliance with the law that has been passed, right? In addition to that, so what I've listed here for you, just, you know, for is this the first one, Charles? No, there was one more before this, right? Yeah. So this is just, so this is just a glimpse of all the policy advisories that need to be addressed, okay? Some of them are very simple new policies. Some of them are edits. Some of them we could adopt just wholesale that don't require much customization. Just keep going, you know, there's one down here for cell phones you guys have kind of already addressed. I want you to pause here. This is an interesting one. I didn't put it here, but it says here, the 269, parental advisory for water safety. The legislature passed a law last year where schools are required to give notification to parents about water safety as an education piece. That's a policy we're supposed to have. Again, something that you could just adopt very quickly, wouldn't take too many reads. And I think there's one more, Charles. And this was as of July. Now I don't know, there could be another one that's come out.
Yeah.
But there are 25 of them,
Wow.
plus any additional things that we need to modify. Example, we talked about student searches today. That's a modification we need to do. My question is, how as a board, because I want to make sure we start working on these, or we're just going to get further and
Right.
further behind. On top of just having to do check the other policies in general to make sure they're, if there's any, like, the transportation one, all these other things we talked about, right?
Mhm.
My suggestion is we try to, I don't know how we would do this. We would try to organize a work session where we take a chunk of policies and look at them in a work session and kind of consider that sort of a first read of several of them, and then come back in a regular meeting for action on some of them. I've kind of talked with Charles about, do we split these up into policies that don't require a lot of modification or discussion, right? And policies that we really need to put some thought into. And we can kind of do a work session. Hey, here's the easy ones. Let's have a little, lunch, and then let's talk about these more difficult ones. That way we can use that kind of as a work session first read, and then try to get them in place. If not, we can bring them a little bit at a time to board meetings.
I'd rather get it all. over
Okay,
with.
I kind of thought that might be the feedback from the board. Any feedback on attacking these besides what I described?
I think a lot of them are just kind of change with, not going to be like earth shattering stuff. I think it's just revisions or updates to things. So I don't
Correct.
think it's going to be a heavy lift.
Correct.
It's just the mass amount.
Correct. So what else?
Is if we could get them ahead of time
Sure.
so that we can.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely. That way, before the workshop, we can be prepared. Now, I'll get with.
Linked in this, aren't they?
So on this advisory list, what I did, Ms. Crumley, is not to overdo it. These are just the title pages. Each advisory comes with like a whole legal explanation of why the changes have to be in place.
The lawyer stuff.
The lawyer stuff. And so what I'll work with Charles is, we'll try to organize them into, here's this policy advisory 256. This stack, just give it a once over, and these ones need more concentration. So,
Is it possible that there's some in here that we wouldn't implement? Do you know?
I glanced at most of them. They really are, as in all good policies, a lot of administrative and compliance with NMAC and PED rule. Most
Okay.
of them here. Okay.
Okay.
And again, that's what Charles and I can look out for. Ones that, may be superfluous to what we need to do here, but I didn't catch any that were that way.
Okay.
A lot of shall, right? A lot of the school board shall adopt policies. There's a shall. We try to shall and do it.
Okay.
So what I hear, I'll work with Charles. Again, we'll try to arrange a work session to get a chunk of these done. I know we have a board meeting in basically about a month, and then we have obviously break. So my priority for a first work session, I'll go with Charles, but really it's two things. Maybe work with some of these here, and if we can get something about the weapons first read, include that in here. That way, maybe when we get in a few weeks on September 21st, we might be able to get something approved, right? If we feel, hey, this is too many policies for one workshop, let's prioritize the easy ones, right? Or the important ones, get those done in a workshop, and then loop back to the ones we missed a little bit later through meetings. That seem reasonable? Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, on to construction and other project updates.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna guide us through this, and the staffer's gonna help us when I need it. So just want to make sure the board, because in a minute here we're talking about some bond stuff. I want to make sure you had an update on construction projects, and we will again could start bringing this every couple of quarterly to you. So remember, as you probably know, when planning and prioritizing projects, DPS staff considers life, health, safety needs first, which is LHS, and facilities master plan projects is primary. Obviously, maintenance is always ongoing, that's necessary. There's things that come up annually that may fall out of the categories above. And know that the legislature gives us different types of funds to do these construction projects. So I just want to share with you what we have in progress and is getting priced. Those first three you see there are kind of the ones that are currently in progress, and we've kind of tried to put a general completion date there. But you know, whenever you put a completion date on there, then it's actually ends up being 3 months later. Oh, I put earliest completion date, so I saved us here. Earliest, okay.
Government.
There you go, Mr. Orozco. Earliest completion date. Those ones, you know of. These other ones here on the bottom, just know that we did get some special appropriation from the legislature to do the high school auditorium. We are working on moving another portable to the early college, a variety of security card access and camera replacements that we're going to use some safety and current bond money to do. We are looking at doing a pilot for the district-wide lighting occupancy to save some utility dollars at Red Mountain. A big one here that we're getting some pricing on. We think the price might jump more on this is upgrading for safety purposes, upgrading our radios district-wide to a digital system, an additional radio tower. We'll start operating on a lot of analog. And my understanding is that's not the standard anymore for law enforcement, and that we need to move towards that. That's going to be a significant project, probably at a higher cost than that with some bond money. And then shade canopies, we're using some operational money on that as well. A little bit here, what you're going to hear about the solar, but there's some ones that will not be covered by solar, so we're doing that. Charles? You'll see later in action about we have our baseball field that has grass in the outfield. We've got a special appropriate, a little bit of a special appropriation. We didn't put it here. A little bit of capital outlay of special appropriation from the legislature to support doing this. So it's a big cost, but they're pitching a little bit. So we'll take their money when they get. You'll see that later. And then these next two bond things that we're working on, and then the mechanic upgrade. So those things that are in progress, already going. These next ones that Charles is going to show real quick, just as an FYI to you all in the community, these are things that are under review and in pre-planning. Often these are life, health, and safety situations that are coming up, and of course our facilities master plan. We have some intercoms that are failing at Baton, system wiring that's going bad, control boards that are 15 years old. We've got to work on that. We're looking at some different types of intercoms versus our, I guess we call classic school intercoms, something that's a little more multi-use, I guess, right? To do that. Of course, we talked about our detection systems is in planning. And then again, a safety rekeying our exterior doors, camera replacements at DHS. And then I know we did some these fall more. We did some furniture upgrades throughout the district in our offices, and we know we need to do some of that in school as well. However, we don't have a process quite yet to make sure we do this in a manner where we're not replacing good stuff with new stuff, right? And so we have to take a look at that. So those are our construction projects that we kind of have going on. Any clarifying questions about those things?
No, that solar thing, that's it seems like we approved that like 6+8 months ago.
Yeah. And I think we
Okay.
yes. Okay, we had, oh my gosh, it's other projects.
Is it?
Oh, construction, oh, yes, okay, sorry. Yes, we'll get, yes, thank you.
that,
I was
okay.
like, other projects, what's going on here? Sorry, catch all. I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, go ahead. We put here the information from the solar companies. Here's what I can share with you that Babs shared, and she got after the meeting started. Mr. Rose, we pass these down, kind of more clarity. We're working with, there's two groups here, Sunshire and Sunwealth. Miss Stauffer, these are the financiers, correct? They're the financiers, and in summary, some of this stuff was going, and then with some federal legislation that was passed in relation to the big beautiful bill, there was some restrictions put on bringing in material from countries of, I don't know how to define concern.
Foreign entities of.
Foreign entities of concern. In this case, some of this stuff was coming from China. And so there was a big hold on some of this stuff coming in all over the country. And after that bill was passed, according to what Ms. Stauffer shared a little bit, is there was a lot of lobbying going on up in Washington to then, hey, let's release these type of things. So then some of these kind of got on their way. But Babs, I'll let you take it over from here on anything here that might be of a question.
So first of all, Sunshire is all privately funded. So those are ready to go. They said probably 2 weeks. Health has those Fed guaranteed loans and grants. And so, yeah, first new DOE. Well, and then the tech kept changing, getting better and better and better. They have to go back to redesign. And then the foreign entities of concern. So we're moving along, and as you can see from your list, you can see where each site is at, whether B&M approved, that's part that takes the longest. Or in the process of getting permits, or ready to go.
And then you can see on the update on the screen, you know, things were fully approved. I think one thing we don't quite have the clarity on that I think you're asking President Roscoe is, hey, how many weeks till this gets done and CDC is going up, right? I think that's some clarity you need, and I don't know if that's something we were able to get some definition on out on the two Sunshire ones, right? That idea that, hey, we should see them going up in a couple of weeks, but
About a week to complete one, and then move on to the next.
Okay.
So once they want to get them all approved before they start.
we're talking about Sunwealth wants to get them all approved and then,
That way
Go at one
the
time.
grades can follow each other,
Mm.
each one,
okay, that makes sense.
and get them knocked out.
So that's why Sunshire is gonna end up going first, because they've just got one that's
Well, just-
in technical review.
Forget.
So now that they've all been submitted, how long does that PNM approval generally take?
Well, it's taken 3 years.
Oh, really?
They did finally put one engineer on all 33 projects, so we have one instead of 7 or 8 disagreed with each other.
So we had
That
a
helped a lot.
little bit of a pass it around PNM situation going.
It's big, but oh no, now they're this big. Redesign. And then, so what they do is Sunwell's engineer
Mhm.
the assist. And then they send it to PNM. And PNM says, no, this doesn't work. And then sends those notes back. And then they redesign and send them back.
And,
So it's a process.
and I think the reason why a little bit was happening for the technology and this back and forth between PNM and Crumbly is that, you know, PNM's the one that's getting that, right? These things are going up, these agreements, they're getting the electricity they want installed on these things, the thing that's gonna get them the most money. And so
Without having to
what,
pay.
right,
Uh,
so now I can see how this, right, how we're caught in this
Yeah.
spiral of
So this could take a few more years.
So I think we'll be done. I think we'll be done.
That's what it sounded like. I don't know.
I'm gonna get my old welding mask out and
Yeah, 'cause
and get over there and do it.
Yeah, because when those guys showed up, it was like
Yeah.
they're ready to
Yeah.
go build it themselves tomorrow. And like I was like,
Yeah.
I even asked, I was like, where are we at with this? Because it's been like,
Schedule that, but it's dissipating by next July.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ms. Stafford, this would be my request on behalf of the once we can get all these things in green, right? Let's try to get from each company a timeline, right? Right, we can't, it's hard to do a timeline now unless it's in green. What's in green, I think we can get a timeline. And then I'll share that back with the board to kind of know. And I will, we know, when all these tax credits were going on for this solar, everybody was doing it, companies were going out of business. Some districts were passing on these projects.
Mhm.
Some accepted the project. I think a lot of folks are similarly situated. It didn't help that there was a change from the Biden administration with the credits and the extra money to the Trump administration with a pullback on some of the credits, and then the Big Beautiful Bill Act. It just didn't work out well. But let's get all these to green, Ms. Staffer, and then
We're gonna do it.
we'll get timeline going. Okay.
Tell them that we're gonna start cutting their pay each day that they don't have green, and then see how fast they move in.
Tell them we want the
Yeah.
electricity more free.
We want a refund. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
We're good. I
Thank
think.
you.
All right, thanks.
And our last discussion one, okay, I know, it's been long, but we hadn't
Yeah.
seen you all in a while here. Bond election, we have a bond election, coming up. We had one in 2021 with the initial sale in 2022. We have one coming up here in November. No tax increase, should be for at $7 million. This is the flyer that we used last time that showed what was successfully done in the previous bond and what we're planning for our new bond. So we're gonna plan on using the same type of flyer, right? What we did and what we want to do. This was from the 2021 election on what we said we were gonna do. Go back to that. We're gonna do the central cafeteria upgrades, access, ADA, baseball field concession, roofs, my little school, all these things here. Now go back to the main slideshow, Charles. We're going to continue with the same advertising and promotion we did last time. We had flyers go out, we had some signs, we had some spots on the radio. It seemed to work. Unless I get back otherwise, we're going to continue in the same advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you go to the next one, Charles? Actually, the next slide. This was just another example of when we did. Next slide. These are the major projects. So when we say, hey, what have we done with your money from the bond? These are some of the major things that we've done with the money. We completed my little school, the lighting. We're going to start working on this concession stand, baseball field, some bleachers, shade structures, technology. So these are the things that we're going to say we've done or in progress of doing with the current money we've asked you for. Now, I'm just going to say this because it'll come up for later for a discussion. Not yet addressed in the 2021 bonfire. I said bonfire, right? Was the central cafeteria. We defined it as upgrades in the last bond flyer. That has not been addressed. I do recognize in preparing for this job, there was a lot of conversation about central cafeteria. Okay, go to the next slide, Charles. So these are things that we are potentially wanting to do. Now, typically, we would go to our facilities master plan to pick things from there. But Charles is going to click on here. With all this art money and other funds we've had, we've made a lot of headway on these big priorities in our FMP. Okay, green is done. Red is in progress. Blue is in planning stages. Okay. At the end of the day, the big thing on here is central cafeteria. Okay, you notice the FMP from last summer doesn't say upgrade. It says replace. Okay, and so know that when we talk about for this coming year, we're going to put some wording about replacement. And just scroll down very quickly, Charles. You'll just note these are some other things that were in our FMP. And you'll notice as you scroll down, like a lot of these things are already done. Things that we paid for are already taken care of. So that's a good use of the money we had, good use of art money. Back to the main slideshow, Charles. So this is what we are going to list on our flyer on things that we're going to do. Now, here's what I think the most important thing is that, right now our FMP doesn't say anything about adding, need to add classrooms somewhere or do this, right? It's really a lot about maintaining what we have. This is not this bond election is not add a room to your house bond election. This is a make sure your roof doesn't fall in and your air conditioner works bond election. So as we go out to the community, it's really about maintaining the good facilities that we have. And so we've listed some things here that we're going to go out and talk about and advertise. their maintenance things. Okay. And again, we've put on here on the bottom, second to last bullet, I've underlined it, replacement of central cafeteria. Okay. I think what we've put here is that with that site where we, we have to have a cafeteria. We can't keep serving 7 sites out of these little things. We're trying to get participation from PSFA so we don't have to pay for the whole thing. That's where sort of the issue is. When we are if we plan to replace, then we want to talk about, hey, what could that site be used for in the future, right? Don't just put a cafeteria and say this is the right. We just put a cafeteria here, right? Could we put a cafeteria here now and build out some other district facilities from that space? So when you hear us talking about the plan to replace central cafeteria, it's going to be coupled with additional conversation about use for that site. Now, at the end of the day, we go out for a bond election, we say we're going to do these things, but all of a sudden we have all the HVAC units fail for these schools. That could quickly eat into what we're going to use for central cafeteria. Okay, so basically we have central cafeteria on here we're trying to do something with. We didn't do anything last time, but we do need to do something this time. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
So this is what we're going to put on the flyer. Are we missing anything critical here that maybe we didn't do?
Think so.
So we'll go forward with that. I'll share with you for one more bit of feedback online. Okay. Okay, Mr. Roscoe, I believe
On to action items.
that's it for me today.
On to action items. Consideration to approve budget adjustments. Mr. Adcock.
We have a few budget adjustments today for president, members of the board, superintendent. The first one is just adjusting some of our Carl Perkins money. When it was originally budgeted, it was budgeted under teacher travel, but it's actually for professional development. Same purpose, just different account that it's needed to be in. Number 3 that we have here, this is for immigrant funding Title III. We did not have an award for this whenever you did the budget. This is to budget for the carryover that we still have in place that we need to get spent. Number 4 is for an extended equity in the digital workforce. This is a grant that's through the early college. We just got the amount for that, so we're presenting this to you as an initial budget. Number 5 is for the grads program. This is a program that we've had for several years. We just don't get the budget amount until the year starts, and so this is the initial budget for that as well. Number 6 is for our Title I. This is for the carryover amount that we have. Back in the spring, whenever we were doing all the budgeting, we did the actual allocation, but this is to give us budget authority for the carryover piece to that. And then the last one is also an increased bar. It is for our migratory children, the Title I Part C. Again, this was carryover that we're adding to the budget that was approved back in the spring.
Any questions by the board? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, consideration of the budget adjustment request.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron? Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
can you take roll?
Oh, yes, I can. I can. Ms. Paez,
Yes.
Ms. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Crowell's absent. Mary Lou, Cameron, yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
the motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Adcock. On to consideration to accept quote from M Squared Electric to consolidate maintenance facility yard into 1 meter.
Mr. Duarte is going to help us on this item.
Members of the board. Superintendent, welcome. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We've outgrown our Florida block over there. Got about 6 or 7 meters that are old. Having a lot of problems now with you know, adding new equipment, HVAC units, and a lot of blackouts. Think it's time that we update our facility. Any other questions? Do you guys have for me?
Is this something that went out for bid?
Don't have the answer for you. This was something that was put together and the ball was handed off to me to come and present.
Okay,
Good job, good job.
I think it should have been, I just,
Yeah.
I think all the proper channels have been.
Let me, Joe, oh no. We've lost,
Bad, might have.
we've lost Joe from our procurement side.
The Allied States Region 19 cooperative pricing agreement.
Thank you. Thank you, very
Thank
good.
you.
Excellent clarification.
thank you.
That's, yes, so this was done under a government pricing agreement that we could access without going out to bid. Thank you, great question.
Yes.
Any other questions for the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take roll?
Yes, I can. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Kroll is absent. Mr. Roscoe
Yes.
and Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Birthday.
Thank you guys.
On to item C, consideration to allow policy to be changed in the same meeting as amendment is presented, as well as to approve amendment to policy ACA, non-discrimination on basis of sex. This is an extremely simple compliance change. We need to accurately list in our policy as per requirements, the name and title of the person who's the Title IX coordinator and contact in our district. And so we didn't have clarity in our policy. We just need to update it to list Enrique Islava, our HR coordinator, in our policy. That's the only change. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we allow the policy to be changed in the same meeting as amendment is presented. And also to approve the actual amendment to policy ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes. Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Okay.
The motion carries.
On to item D, consideration to approve amendment to policy JJJ, extracurricular activity eligibility, second read. Brought this to you in our last meeting. Again, this was simply clarifying our policy related to activity and athletic eligibility to take out, to again, describe what our activities were, define the right grade levels. And then on the bottom there, the main changes were striking out the eligibility information in the policy and just saying our eligibility is based on what we publish in our handbook. That way we don't have to change policy every time eligibility changes. And we talked about this last time. So any questions prior to approval or consideration? Any questions by the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve amendment policy JJJ, extracurricular activity eligibility, second read.
Okay.
Second,
Mrs. Cameron, can you take a roll?
yes. Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes. Thank you.
the motion carries.
On to item E, consideration to accept collective bargaining agreement with NEA Deming for the 2025-2026 school year. Okay, we have our NEA folks here, and then if we have any questions for HR, they can assist us. I have some information from HR as well, because Terry's voice is a little working on it there. Just working.
Good evening, Superintendent, President Willis, on board members. We're here tonight to present the collective bargaining agreement between the school board and the NEAs. WNEA were presented it for your consideration of the acceptance of the 2025-2026 school board.
Ms. Berger, do you just want to give a 30,000 overfoot view like you told me by my office the other day about the changes here that they're really, a lot of them were kind of administrative, bringing up to code with policy, just some broad highlights for the board here.
Well, we did obviously change the dates and then the contract days in the bargaining. We kind of brought some of the definitions and descriptions in throughout the agreement in alignment with each area, such as, the family members, we added all sections, grandparent in-laws. Sick leave, we changed that for, requiring a doctor's note or a statement if there's,
Which has long been district procedure. It's just now actually in writing.
if an employee is absent longer than 3 consecutive weeks. So it has been. Personally, we just kind of cleaned that up some and added a little bit that approval may be denied if time sensitive. Time for like if a lot of members are out or employees are out during a particular, then it may be denied. Especially like the first week of school, the last week of school, days right after and before.
Again,
Holidays.
those were in the district for years. It's just procedures. Now they're written.
We changed a couple of mays to shall, for especially in the bereavement. Took out some of the information that was old, that said beginning year 2001, 2002, and the new policy, well, we passed new after that. So we took that
A
out.
few years old.
It's a little.
It's just a few years.
We had some disagreements with the district and they wanted to keep, we asked for certain parts of the board policies to be put into the CBA. And at the time, they wanted it word for word, the board policy to match the CBA. It doesn't have to, but that's how they wanted it. So we were like, okay. And so it ended up with some very strange verbiage because of that.
A couple of places, we kind of cleaned up some of the language, just to make it more concise. We changed some of the grammar. We also looked at the digital system and the employees that use the digital clock in and clock out system, cleaning that up, adding to it, I'm sorry, as far as the steps that they need to follow so they continue to clocking in and clocking out every time. And then we put in a little bit of a rest of discipline for those who are expected to consistently, not necessarily following policy. We put in about staff notification as far as if the principal's probably using that, the staff is notified 3 days, it's previously 2 days, and we went to add 3 days for that.
And by CBA in the definitions, days always means working days.
Go.
And there are lots of places that said see the appendices or see board policy, and our board policy has since changed. Then we corrected some different levels.
So what I'll just share on behalf of the district, I think this is, again, this, what I see here in these summaries is a good reflection of the working partnership between the district and the union, right? To make sure there's we're looking out and supporting our employees, but it's very clear in here, right? The union is saying, hey, these are some non-negotiables that work in here that we expect when it comes to, hey, you got to bring us sick notes, you got to do these, you got to do that. I think this is a good reflection of a good partnership.
We have the last couple of years, the first couple of years we did bargaining was more traditional bargaining because, it's just how Mrs. Reynolds, who was head of the bargaining team, she had been trained. With Mrs. Trejo, we have moved more towards what they call interest-based bargaining, where they bring an issue, for instance, the sick leave concerns and all of that, or we bring an issue and then we just discuss what language could potentially look like and we work together to find the best solutions we can. And it's very nice. Sometimes it takes a while, but it's very nice to collaborate that way to make sure this is the best fit for all employees.
Any questions or comments by the board? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move acceptance of the collective bargaining agreement with NEA Deming.
Second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take a roll?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this. Ms. Baez,
Yes.
Ms. Kremlin,
Yes.
Mr. Carl's absent, Mr. Roscoe,
Yes,
and Mrs. Cameron, yes.
thank you.
I'm just thinking.
On to consideration to approve a proclamation declaring September as Attendance Awareness Month. Mrs. Chavez.
And Ms. Chavez is going to give us a summary of attendance month here. We're not gonna, this is not medieval times. We're not gonna have a full reading of the proclamation. But Ms. Chavez, please give us an overview of this proclamation and the importance of attendance.
The board, I come before you to ask you to proclaim and declare the month of September as Attendance Awareness Month. As you know, our students are in school, they can't be learning. We're really just wanting to agree with the city to make attendance important. And I think we're doing a great job of that so far. Thanks to Mr. Lyman's effort the last 2 years, our chronic absenteeism has gone from 60% to 30%. So our kids are coming more often. And I think as a community, we come together and talk about how important attendance is. I think then it becomes more important to our students.
I just
Questions?
think this is a wonderful proclamation to make everyone awareness of how important it is for our students to be in school. And because if they're not, then it holds not only the students don't keep climbing but everyone has to go back and, teachers have to go back and redo it again. So I really think this proclamation is very timely.
Any other comments by the board? None, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proclamation declaring the month of September as Attendance Awareness Month.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron can take roll.
Yeah, okay. All right, Ms. Paez,
Yes.
Ms. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. On to item G, consideration to adopt resolution authorizing disposal of technology items through public auction. Mr. Clickler or Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Yoldema, Ben is not here tonight, so I'll be stepping in for him. I don't know that I'll be as entertaining, but he did give me his narrative, so I am going to try. The first spreadsheet, which was Appendix A in your packet, contains 121 items, mostly student laptops, old student desktops, projectors, and old monitors. The list illustrates the life cycle of computers in addition to the old desktops from 2014 and older student laptops from 2018. We also have a number of student computers bought during quarantine that are now 5 years old and have endured, as expected, heavy use due to being one-to-one devices. Their full warranty is expired, and as we have been sorting these old COVID-era laptops, they have been identified as not repairable. Additionally, there are slightly newer laptops that are damaged and out of warranty and not worth it to repair, plus 2 devices over $1,000 at purchase time. An interactive display that is out of warranty and broken, and an out of warranty MacBook with a shattered screen that is not worth repairing. The oldest item on Appendix A is from 2010, and it is a monitor. Appendix B has more items we found after the first was turned in and is broadly similar to the composition of the first. There are some duplicate records in the spreadsheet, which when removed, reduces the true number of items to 142. The items over $1,000 in Appendix B are fully depreciated. They were purchased between 2011 and 2018. The spreadsheet also features a much larger number of COVID-era student laptops that are also not repairable. The ones that we want to keep are redeployed, and when the newer computers are not available. So they're replacement computers, basically. The items less than 5 years old are also student laptops that are around 4 years old. They are out of warranty and too damaged to be worth repairing. The oldest item in Appendix B is from 2011. And to give you an idea of how we have tried to maintain costs, that device in 2011 cost $453.74. Whereas current student laptop costs around $550. And I stand for questions for Ben, if I can.
That was very thorough.
Yeah.
Not even here,
As it is.
as it is with Ben.
Any comments by the board? If none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt a resolution authorizing the disposal of technology items through public auction as described by Mr. Turner.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take a roll?
Yes. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Okay. This next one is an appointment of board members to serve on the temporary committee for superintendent evaluation for 2025-2026 school year. Approve the committee to develop a superintendent evaluation template to recommend to the board with input from the superintendent. Approval of a date by which the committee will bring recommendation to the board, and approval that the committee will be terminated upon approval of the superintendent evaluation template by the board. So this was another piece that we talked with the lawyers about, and in order to be able to create a template, we need 2 board members to be able to do that. And then as they create that, then there'll be a piece where the superintendent gets to get some input in that as well. And then it'll be brought back to the board as a whole to be able to vote on and to put in place. So this was just another piece that we had from prior to that we were just kind of getting everything aligned. So that's where we're at with it. So I know Ashley's done some work on before. So I'd be looking for 2 board members to be able to complete that task.
Be willing to work with Ashley.
Okay with that, Ashley?
Ashley's on the committee. Okay.
So do we need nominations for that, or is that just?
I would say your motion is going to be to accept the recommendation of Ms. Baez and Ms. Crumley.
Okay.
To serve on the temporary committee.
Okay. Did you guys hear that motion? Can I make that motion?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to, as recommended, to allow Vice President Crumley and Board Member Pies to serve on the committee for the superintendent evaluation template for the 2025-2026 school year.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take roll?
Oh, yes, I can. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we also have to?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move that we approve that the committee develop a superintendent evaluation template to recommend to the board with input from the superintendent.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes.
All right. Thank you. On to item I, consideration.
We're not done.
Sorry. The what?
So we need to discuss, when does the board want Ms. Paez and I to finish working on that?
That was tomorrow's end.
I'll give her one more day than that.
Um. two-
When is our next board meeting?
November 18th.
Is that enough time?
I'm not working.
Oh.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
I would propose by September 18th.
Okay.
I'll move that we approve that September 18th, 2025 be the date by which the committee will bring the recommendation to the board.
Okay. So a second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take a roll on that?
Yes. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cameron, yes.
All right.
And then finally, I will move that we approve that the committee will be terminated upon approval of the superintendent evaluation template by the board.
Have a second on that.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes. Ms. Pius,
Yes.
Ms. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes. The motion carries.
Now you can go to I.
Now we can go. On to item I, consideration to accept quote from Robert Cohen Company LLC to upgrade athletic field, baseball/soccer field, 1.5 million.
Mr. Cohen also has a 1 GPA price agreement.
Is that government thing you were talking about? Okay.
There's several agencies that do it, and we have several different contractors are with different pricing codes.
Okay. Thank you.
I do want to, I'll kick this off and, Babs can finish with, so, you know, this had been, kind of in brewing in the works for a little bit before I got here. And there was, special appropriations funds that were, given from the legislature for this. So we want to leverage those and not lose those. Again, as it says here, I learned that there was like really, when this was installed, there was only a infield that was turf. The grass and the outfield was grass. It was kind of, it's been hard to maintain. I think an opportunity here to upgrade a facility that not can only be used, you know, during a game, but lining an outfield for soccer, turfing it can be used sometimes for PE classes when spaces are at a premium. Thank you. And really, we already have the equipment to maintain the turf fields that we purchased for the other ones, and so it's just I think a good long-term investment in doing this. And again, obviously during the games we want to have a safe playing field for our athletes out there, and it's just becoming harder and harder, as everybody knows, to maintain grass anywhere here in the Southwest. So that was kind of a summary there. Did I miss anything, Babs?
We do need another soccer field to have equity with the boys and girls. That's another reason.
Practice
Why.
so as well, yeah.
Is the lighting for this field, is it adequate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's the
Senior league field?
muscle.
Muscle lighting.
It's
Okay.
LED lighting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions by the board? If none, I will entertain a motion.
I make the motion to accept the quote from Robert Cohen Company LLC to upgrade the athletic field. For $1,532,521.23.
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron can take a roll.
Okay, Ms. Bias,
Yes.
Ms. Grumley,
Yes.
Mr. Rusco.
Yes.
Ms. Cameron, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am. Now you're up for the next one too. Consideration to accept quote from Four Rivers to add shade structure at Memorial Elementary for $249,347.19. Can we just buy like umbrellas for the kids?
I'll kick this off with the board here.
Yeah.
Umbrellas.
Yeah,
Okay, they might blow away.
yeah.
Roscoe here.
We can afford a few more if they
We can
blow away.
afford a few umbrellas. They blow. So again, you know, we mentioned in sort of our little construction project update, we're going to try to start on these shade structures. Memorial was kind of first up because it was brought by administration and we already had quotes in place. So we thought this is a good place to start. Very common throughout the Southwest to have these shade structures installed on the play fields. One big change here that's kind of important to know is that previously they had been installing shade structures with the canvas or fabric tops. Those were just blowing and getting destroyed. So as they're getting replaced, they're using the metal, the metal shade structures. Those are more costly, but they are more durable. So our goal will be over time to make sure, and when the solar, the ones that aren't addressed by solar covers, that will address these as well. So did I miss anything, Babs?
The big playgrounds, west side of the school will have solar. But we're not using enough energy like schools like to cover additional. So I wanted to get that playground and a little bit something. And this is a CES pricing agreement contract quote from another local contractor.
Questions by the board?
Yes, can I ask a question? Where do these difference that we've paid today out of different pockets?
Are you asking, Ms. Cameron,
Yes.
this particular shade structure, what fund we're paying it
Right.
out of? I don't know the answer off the top of my head, Miss Cameron. I know we initially budgeted, I think, out of it was SB 9 money, which is some capital outlay money we receive. We've been having conversations about, hey, as we're moving through some of our bond money from our current election, if we want to make sure that those are some projects we do with current bond money. So that's kind of where we're in the discussion on that.
Thank
So
you.
it'll be capital outlay money, typically one of those two.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Any other questions by the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept the quote from Four Rivers to add shade structures at Memorial Elementary for $249,347.19.
Second,
I'll second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take roll?
Yes. Ms. Caius,
Yes.
Ms. Brennan,
Yes.
Mr. Orozco.
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron, yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for your
Thank
support.
you.
Yes, ma'am. On to item 11, board announcements and requests for agenda items. Any board member have any requests for agenda items? Okay, the next regular meeting will be held September 18th, 2025 at 5:30. The meeting will be held at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building, 400 Cody Road. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Seconds,
Second.
Mrs. Cameron, can you take roll?
Yes, Ms. Caius,
Yes.
Ms. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. Orozco.
Yes.